Okay, this is the game that inspired my poem, The Lonely Night Pawn. And contrary to the poem, it wasn't exactly December time. This game was played April 27th, 1996. But at the time I wrote the poem, it was almost Christmas time. So I exaggerated a little bit there. But this was round four, the National Open up in Las Vegas. And the time controls were 45 moves in 2 hours and then sudden death in one. So the game potentially could go 6 hours, but if both guys used all their time. And anyway, I'd won the first game. I had a draw, and then I had a half point bye in round three. But I'd had two or maybe three nights in a row where I just was not getting my sleep. And by this game, I was really just tired. I had a headache. It was 7 p.m. at night. And anyway, I played my, hang on one second here. I played the orangutan, which I was known for playing quite often, which is the move b4. It's also known as the Polish, named after Tartakower, I believe, who actually named it the orangutan. Anyway, it's a hypermodern type opening, and I just knew it real well from a book I'd studied. The guy I was playing was 1909 Steve Cherry, and I was 1688, so he was significantly higher rated than me. So I knew I couldn't be making many mistakes. And so he brings the bishop out to f5, pawn up, king pawn up, knight to f3. This is all standard procedure for this line. Pawn to b4, bishop d6. Okay, up until this point, everything is okay. And I made a mistake here, and I played d4, which allowed him to check me. Oh, first he plays bishop takes knight, rook takes bishop, and then bishop to b4 check. And about here I realized my errors of my way, because after I brought the knight back to block the check, now he brings his knight in, he's attacking it twice. And I don't have many options. Actually, about the only way I can probably save the knight at this point is, of course, bishop to c1, which allows the knight in for a fork. And I was so mad at myself at this point, frustrated, tired, with a headache, and I went over and sat down in chairs watching the Grandmasters, and I sat there for about 15 minutes, wondering if I just, how to respond. Should I just resign, go to the hotel room, or whatever, And I thought, you know what? I paid my money to come here, headache, tired, whatever. I'm going to try as hard as I can in a bad situation. And besides that, the guy kept smirking and swagging his head. So I thought, all right, now it's personal. So I went back to the board, and I played the queen to b3. I decided I'm going to just do every move I can to try to improve my position a little bit at a time. So we traded down in this manner, and so now I'm down the exchange, but I have a pair of bishops, so that's something. Knight to f6, bishop out, pawn takes, I took with a bishop, knight to d5, queen back, castles, and I castled. And just about here, he started taking a lot of time, and I noticed he really didn't play with much of a plan after this. He played the knight back, so I said, okay, I'm going to play f3 and maybe start advancing a little bit. Played c5, played the bishop up, pawn takes pawn, bishop takes. Okay, now my bishop's a little better. Pawn to b6, that's okay, a little slow. I played the bishop back, aiming more at his king at h7. Queen up. Now it looks like he's wanting to push the pawn to e5, so I played f4 to stop that. He plays his rook over, rook to f3, g6, just slow. He's playing slow. I played the bishop back to b2. He played the knight back. Slow again, it seems, somewhat, although he wants to probably play it to c5 just to try to trade pieces. So I played the queen to c3, which threatens checkmate. And the only way you can really stop it without losing a lot of material, or some material anyway, is f6. So I played the pawn to e4. And he played the queen check, and I thought, oh crap, I missed that one. So I thought, okay, I move my king a little towards the center. Trade queens. Knight to c5, attacking my bishop. So I played the bishop to c4, attacking his pawn. He comes up to guard it. I played the pawn up. He plays the king over, and I play my bishop to b4, pinning the knight into the king. Always just making my pieces a little better one at a time. So he plays the king up, which is, I don't know, it's a little slow because now I can play my bishop to d5 and block his rook from doing anything for the moment. So he takes with the pawn. I took with the rook to keep his f-pawn backward. h3. I played the king up, try to centralize. Rook over, it's kind of slow. I don't know, maybe he's doing something. Rook to h5. And now we're at move 35, and we got to get to 45 in the time control. And he was getting a little short on time, so I made a couple of shuffling moves just to try to get him to burn time, and I went back, which is probably not best because I think maybe he should just play h5 here. But instead, I'm not sure what he's doing, except he's also just making moves. So now we're at 38, and my dastardly plan comes out. I played a4. You can't take it with a knight because the knight's pinned into the king. So rook to g7. Played my pawn up. He's going for the trade. I said no thanks. He plays h5. I played my pawn up to a5. He can't take it or else he loses his knight. So he played rook to g4. Here I took the knight. He pretty much has to capture back. And I played b6. And now if he just plays, I mean, a6 isn't real appealing to give me a protected passer, but the problem is he played, at this point, black's still got to be winning if he plays his cards right. But he played pawn takes pawn, which now allows me to slide the pawn past to a6, and now I'm going to get a queen on a8, and he's got a problem. So a6, rook takes h4, g takes h, king to d6, and he made move 45 at that point. But now the job is just advancing my pawn, trading off his rook. I got to stop his two passers with my king and just see what I can do. So I played a7, f5. I can't take it or he'll get my bishop, so I got a queen. I snag the rook. He plays the pawn up. And even though he's got all these dangerous pawns, I still have a bishop. So I played my bishop back to d5. He starts pushing the b pawn. I come to g7 to snag the h pawn, and that will guard his f pawn from going forward. King goes backwards. Now I got to go over and try to do something about these guys. King over. Now all I got to do is I got to guard these three passers from getting past me. So I played the king up, b3, king over. Now this was a key move. Bishop to d1 might also work, but I can't play king takes b4 without guarding the c2 square. So I have to abandon the f-pawn for the moment, guarding the f-pawn's advance. So I had to play the bishop here, pawn down, king takes pawn. Now if he plays c2, I can take with the bishop and I just have time to get back and guard the f-pawn. So he plays the king up there. All this time he's still using more and more of his time. And he's taking forever, so I take king takes pawn, he takes mine. I play bishop down there, now his king can't come get my h-pawn. King over, king up, king back, king to d5, king over. Now it's just a matter of running him out of moves. And so at this point, he's about to, what we say, queen pawn, but he didn't actually queen it. He had 40 seconds left on his time. And I still had about 40 minutes. But he had 40 seconds in his second time control, sudden death time control. And it's about 11:30 at night. It's probably like 12:30. We'd played over 5 hours, 5.5 hours. It was late, whatever it was. And he pushes the pawn and then hits the clock. And I thought, man, I don't want this guy. I'm going to have everything right because I don't trust this guy. And I said, what are you promoting it to? Because I wanted my paperwork to be right. And so instead of making a queen, he smirks and says, make it a knight. I said, okay. So I wrote it down on my paper, and I got up, and I went to the bathroom. And my friend saw me out in the hallway walking along, and he goes, what's going on? I said, first I'm going to beat him, and then I'm going to whip his ass for wasting my time. So I went back to the board, and his king was knocked over, and he was gone. So I went and got a tournament director because I didn't want any problems. I said, I don't trust this guy. And I just want to show you that his king's knocked over. And he says, all right, don't worry about it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And it's one of my favorite games ever. I was theoretically behind almost the entire game. And I never gave up. as tired as I was in a losing position with a headache. So, Merry Christmas to everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the poem. I'm not much of a poet, but this was the evidence behind the lowly night pond. All right. Have a good one.